Have you ever walked a tightrope with no safety net below? Maybe not literally, but when it comes to money, many people do it every day. They invest every dollar they earn. They take jobs with no backup plan. They retire with no cushion. And they say, "It'll be fine. I've done the math." But here's the thing. Life doesn't care about your math. That is what Morgan Housel wants us to understand in Chapter 13 of The Psychology of Money, a powerful chapter called Room for Error. Today on New Chapter, we're not just summarizing this idea. We're telling a story about uncertainty, humility, and why the most successful people build safety into everything they do. Let's begin. Part 1. The false comfort of precision. Imagine someone tells you, "I've calculated exactly how much I'll need to retire at age 60. If I get a 7.2% return, I'm good." And then they spend every single cent until then. No buffer, no margin, no room for error. Sounds risky, right? But this isn't just hypothetical. It's how many people live. They base their entire future on perfect outcomes. No accidents, no illness, no market crashes, no job loss. Housel warns us, the most important part of every plan is planning on your plan, not going according to plan. And that's not pessimism. That's realism. Part 2. What can go wrong? Eventually Housel shares a crucial lesson from the world of engineering. When designing a bridge, you don't calculate the load it should hold. You calculate the load it might hold, and then you add 50%. Why? Because wind, weight, and weather don't follow spreadsheets, and neither does life. Yet in finance, we assume a flawless journey. Stocks go up 8% per year. Inflation stays tame. Jobs are stable. Health is guaranteed. But when you remove the margin for error, you leave no space for real life to happen. Part 3. The power of saying, "I don't know." Here's something rare. A wealthy person who says, "I don't know what's going to happen, so I prepare for anything." That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Housel explains that room for error isn't just financial. It's psychological. When you have a buffer, you sleep better at night. You don't panic during market drops. You avoid desperate decisions. You give yourself the power to walk away from bad deals, bad bosses, or bad timing. And most importantly, you protect your future self from your present overconfidence. Whenever we make a plan, we convince ourselves it's foolproof. But the wiser approach is to anticipate our own fallibility. Remember, our goal isn't to eliminate risk. It's to avoid disaster. And often, disaster looks a lot like arrogance. Part 4. Anticipating your future self. When you build in room for error, you're essentially sending a message to your future self. Hey, you might be stressed, you might be tempted, you might be tired. But remember, you have options. And that changes everything. Think about a new parent who saves $20,000 for their child's education. Their kid might end up with a full scholarship, but even if they don't, that money becomes a buffer, a safety net. It allows the parents to say, "We've got this," without the stress of going into debt. It gives them options. And that peace of mind is priceless. Part 5. Embracing uncertainty. In an uncertain world, playing it safe is a kind of smart. Housel argues that the most successful investors aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones who take the most sensible precautions. It's not about being right all the time. It's about being resilient. He uses Warren Buffett as an example. Buffett doesn't claim to predict the market. Instead, he positions himself to take advantage of opportunities when they arise. He keeps a war chest of cash because he knows great investments don't come by every day. And when they do, he wants to be ready. Part 6. A tale of two investors. Let's meet two investors. Investor A boasts a 12% annual return, hitting home runs with hot stocks. Investor B has a 6% return, sticking with blue chips, playing it safe. Who's the better investor? Well, B is statistically safer. Their returns are more consistent. Their risks are lower. But A is the exciting choice. We love the thrill of the big win. But here's the twist. Investor A is borrowing money to boost those returns. They're taking out loans, piling on the debt to amplify their gains. Who's the smarter choice? Loan plus 12% sounds impressive, but with debt comes danger. If the market takes a dip, Investor A is in trouble. Their high returns were built on borrowed money, leaving them vulnerable to market swings. Investor B, on the other hand, is in a better position. Sure, their returns are lower, but they're stable and sustainable. They're building wealth steadily without taking on unnecessary risks. So which path would you choose? The thrilling highs of Investor A or the steady gains of Investor B? The answer might surprise you. Studies show that while people love the idea of high returns, they actually prefer consistent, stable growth. It's not the most exciting option, but it's the smarter one. Final thought. Success is survival. Here's the heart of chapter 13. Success in money isn't about being right. It's about surviving long enough to get lucky. You don't need the perfect plan. You need a plan that can bend, flex, and survive the unexpected. Because the people who build wealth over time aren't the boldest. They're the ones who stick around long enough for compounding to do its magic. So ask yourself, do I have room for error in my financial life? Or am I one crisis away from collapse? Now's the time to build your margin. If this chapter made you pause and think, hit that like button. Let us know in the comments, what's one way you've created room for error in your financial life? And don't forget to subscribe to New Chapter, because each week we turn powerful books into timeless wisdom. Next up, Chapter 14, You'll Change, because the only constant is change. Until then, stay wise, stay ready, and always leave a little room.